A couple of years ago, I got some really bad running advice that essentially ruined my elite running career. And it wasn't from a friend or teammate or girlfriend or coach or training partner or even a random passing stranger on the sidewalk. But it was someone whom I trusted way more than I should have. It was about 4 weeks out from the Rotterdam Marathon, and here I was doing 200-meter repeats. I was coming off some pretty high mileage and my body was feeling sore and tired. About halfway through the workout, something in my hamstring popped. It was quite painful, but I could still hobble. So I told myself, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. You just need to get through this workout and then we'll figure it out. And that was the worst advice I'd ever received. And it was from myself, because it encouraged me to keep going. Whereas had I stopped or pulled the plug, I probably would have been just fine. But because I kept going, I've been left to struggle for many years with the lingering effects of high hamstring tendinopathy. And despite years of rehab and seeing dozens of physicians, I've never been able to get my hamstring to recover to the form it was before this injury. And I'm now no longer capable of running the paces I used to be able to. If only I had been smart enough in that moment to mistrust my own opinions. And here's the thing. Oftentimes, if you catch an injury early, the recovery period is short and you can get back to running real quick. But if you go a few days longer until you can't run anymore, the recovery is exponentially longer. Another day or 2 or 3 of running can mean an extra month or 2 or more of recovery. So why is it so hard to drop out of a workout? Even when we know it's just one amongst hundreds, it can be a huge blow to our confidence. And what can we do to avoid listening to ourselves and making stupid decisions like I did that kept me injured for a much longer time than I needed to? A part of the problem is that we're always told to push through the pain and to never quit. But that can be counterproductive when injuries develop. Maybe we'd be better served by motivational posters that implore consistency over pushing through the pain. In his book, Running Your Best by Ron Dawes, he had another solution. What Ron did was to assume 2 identities, the runner and the objective coach. Oftentimes, in the moment of a workout or a race, emotion tends to override cool assessment. So what Ron did was to create a second identity of the objective coach and try to look at himself from that coach's perspective. As Ron says, I'd pretend I was an impartial observer watching myself run by. Doing so might help to step away from the emotions and focus on making a diligent assessment of the situation. Oftentimes, a coach will shut down a workout when an athlete would protest to continue. Another idea that might translate well to running comes from Richard Thaler, a behavioral economist. And I think it might help us disassociate some of that loss of confidence that we have from dropping out of a workout. At the beginning of the year, he tithes a certain amount of his personal savings to the church. This allows him to feel good about having made this donation. But instead of donating the money directly to the church at the beginning of the year, he instead moves it to a separate account he has, to be tithed account, and then the money is then actually tithed to the church at the end of the year. If he needs a new washing machine or a cavity drill or gets a parking ticket or any other unexpected expenses pop up throughout the year, he pays for it out of the to be tithed account. That way, it doesn't feel like he's paying for it. It feels like the church is paying for it. He's able to mentally disassociate himself from the pain of making these payments. Then, at the end of the year, whatever's left in the to be tithed account still gets tithed over to the church. The key is to detach your confidence from the workout. Don't think of it as a hit to your confidence if you have to drop out of a workout. Think of it as a hit to someone else's. One last thing from Ron Dawes. Ron believed the only reason he was able to achieve the things he did was because of his system for avoiding injuries and being able to train consistently. And he had a 3-step process he followed to staying healthy. Step number 1, take twinges seriously. If you feel a pain, make a note of it, observe it, and pay attention to it. Don't shrug it off and just hope for it to go away. Number 2, draw on past experiences to make the most of what that injury might possibly mean and also what alternatives you might be able to do to continue training while kind of coddling the injury so you don't exacerbate the issue. And number 3, maintain mental flexibility. Sometimes our thinking becomes so rigid that we forget that it's possible and also probably beneficial to be flexible with our training schedule as we head into our goal race.